all are really the experts yourselves. I mean, you've been through this, you've struggled. Support is key with this surgery. Do not isolate yourself, either pre-surgery and also post-surgery, okay? That's just, it's important in life with all kinds of things. So a good support network is vital, vital, vital to success. It's not in all relationships, but as one partner starts to lose weight, the other feels a little left out or starts to wonder how secure they are in the relationship. Learning how to manage your thoughts and your feelings, okay? So oftentimes, many of us here know what emotional eating is. Who doesn't know what emotional eating is? Okay, right. It's eating when you're not hungry, right? And when you're down in the dumps, or when you're bored, or when you're happy. Some people eat when they're happy. And so really getting in touch with why am I eating is so, so important, and learning to manage that. Food is a temporary fix, right, as we all know, right? And then the long-term consequences are different. I'm going to throw out some thoughts to you and see if any of these ring true for you. I have high expectations of myself. I always expect to do well and get very disappointed if I don't, right? So we have a little hammer that we get out and we go like this, and it doesn't work. So then what do? We get out the bigger hammer and we go like this, and it still doesn't work, right? So oftentimes we fall into the same patterns, trying the same things and wondering why we continue to fail at them. If I don't lose weight every week, I'm likely to give up. How many of you get frustrated when that scale doesn't go down? Okay, all right. How many of you, when you get on that scale, you think, oh, I'm a good person today or I'm a bad person today, right? We judge our self-worth by that number. And that's another way of beating yourself up. I'm very strict with myself. If I slip up even a little, I will give myself a hard time. Again, that's that hammer. In the past, I've given up because I didn't lose weight as quickly as I'd hope. So are your expectations realistic? Once my regular routine has been interrupted, I find it difficult to get back. Thoughts or things that some of you sometimes beat yourself up on. Does anybody have any today? Frustrations or things that you struggle with? What you're doing beautifully is, rather than nourishing yourself through food, is through alternate healthy ways. But Mary, like a week after, went out.
I blogged about it.
Yeah, she blogged about it.
We baptized my friend's little boy, so it was less than 2 weeks after surgery, and we were at the Wood Ranch restaurant where it's like all like, you know, ribs and every kind of meat and these onion things and like everything that like was delicious and yummy. So I ordered a tri-tip soup that had little bits of vegetables and then the broth that I squished up. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I took my Crystal Light with me. I took my protein shake with me, so when everybody started bringing the appetizers, I had my protein shake, and then I could have the broth later. And I think the big thing was, it was the first time that you focused on, you know, like, I don't know if it's that your husband likes to go out to eat because he just likes to go out to eat, or if, like many families, you're out of the house and you're not focused on jumping up from the table. It's a nice time to just socialize with your family or friends. I realized how much more I was focused on the event of my new godson with the other 30 people who were there, instead of, oh, that looks good, oh, that, and my boys, you know, my teenage boys, they were rolling out of there. They were so full. They stuffed themselves. And I probably would have done the same thing.
So you took your shake with
I had the shake, I made my Crystal Light, so I was drinking, you know, that, and then I ordered the soup, saved the tri-tip pieces for my husband. He ate those, but I had the broth, and it was delicious. It had like little bits of mushroom and carrot in it. It
that
was
was how long after?
less than 2 weeks. Was having the
Oh.
bronchitis. Yeah, she said she went just a few days after.
A couple days later.
But it was just focusing that I'm not here for the food. But I know what you're saying. I used to go somewhere and go, they'll probably never have this restaurant again. I've got to eat everything now. But it'll be there. And you start to realize that after. You start to realize that after. But and I was focusing more on the event. And I'm trying to do.
One of the things that I always suggest to people is watch your thoughts. And sometimes if you are feeling deprived, you can change your thoughts. Our thoughts are related to our feelings. And you have more control over your feelings than you probably realize. We have a lot of patterns of thinking, right? Most of us are really good at beating ourselves up. And so to change it, because maybe you've heard all your life, you're no good, you're too this, you're too overweight, you're blah, 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 blah. And so one of the things to really start to focus on is, what are you telling yourself? Because you're going to feel it, all right? If you tell yourself crappy stuff about yourself, you're going to feel crappy, and you wonder why you're depressed, right? If you tell yourself, I am, rather than the thinking, and we call it reframing in psychology, rather than I feel deprived, I wish I could have, it's I love myself enough and I want to be around and I want to have good health, that I'm not going to choose to eat that. Do I want it? Yeah, it'll taste good on my taste buds for 2 seconds, but there are long-term consequences of this, and really that's about taking care.
15 years ago, I was 355, and I went to Magic Mountain and was kicked off the ride.
Yeah.
I made a promise, if I had lost weight, I would get back on the Colossus. 15 years later, I was scared to death, but I got on the Colossus, I went by myself, and I got on that ride, and I was 170. And I got on that ride, took a picture of myself, called my family. They all cried, but they remembered. And I got on that ride. Not only did I get on that ride, but I got on every scary ride.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good
But I'm not getting back on it anymore.
Do any of you struggle with that? Who am I doing the procedure for, or who did I do it for? Okay, so it sounds like all of you. Yeah, a little bit? Did you get some pressure from family? One of the things I might suggest to you is how we interpret sometimes what people say. Yeah. So I'm going to throw out an alternative to you. Maybe they're just saying, it's not that we didn't love hugging you before, but we love you so much, we're so glad that you're getting healthier. Yes, and that's where that comes from. So sometimes, I always go back to this thing, you guys, your brain, what you're telling yourself is really huge psychologically. So how we interpret other people's comments often are not right. How many of you have ever had that happen to you, right? So someone has said something to you, and then you come back and you talk to them, and you're like, oh, that's what you meant? I thought you meant blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And you were pissed off for weeks, right? And you harbored all this anger, and anger in your body is not good for anyone, and including yourself, because it increases the stress hormone from the adrenal gland, which makes you gain more weight. You guys know about cortisol? Yeah, okay, so all those things. So sometimes really being assertive and checking it out and just wondering what you meant by that, or that kind of thing, or watching what you're telling yourself about that. So. Any kind of behavior that can be addictive, people don't like to do it on their own, right? Misery loves miserable company. And if you're a mirror for them, if you're eating healthy and they're not, so it's about their... Oh, okay. So, all right. So that's really self-defeating, right? Yeah. Okay. So you have a few choices, and this is maybe something to think about for all of you. If someone says something that you don't appreciate or isn't helpful, you have the choice to let it go and not care and continue to take care of yourself, and And the second one maybe is reframe it. Well, they just care about me and annoys the you know what out of me. But you know what? I'm not going to choose to go eat over it. Or you can get annoyed and choose to go eat over it, right? Which hurts no one but you. So you have that choice. And then the last choice that I can think of, and if you have any other suggestions, is speak to her and say, I know that you're trying to be very helpful, but sometimes your comments don't really feel helpful. I feel like I'm being monitored. Whatever you're feeling, in a kind and gentle manner, if you feel like you have a good enough relationship with her. So one of the things you might want to think about is, what are my choices here? And in some, you're just going to have to decide for you what fits best for the situation. Logically speaking, food issues are not about food issues.
Yeah.
No.
They're about other stuff, and it keeps you, it's called a we all have red herrings in our lives. We all have something that we focus on, because if we focus on what really makes us anxious or depressed, we don't want to go there. So we focus on something we think we can manage, like food and our weight. It's not about that. It's about all the other stuff that's under the emotional stuff that gotta dig down deep sometimes. So you're exactly right. It's not about food. You guys are my hero. You all have struggled with things and succeeded with things, and when you come here and talk about things that are hard to talk about, I think it's amazing, and it takes a lot of guts, so way to go. And I hope you all will remember to pat yourself on the back, all right? Instead of doing the hammer all the time. I think that is so important, to be kind to yourselves. So my challenge to you is, by the end of the weekend, do one little thing that is nice for yourself that's not food related, all right? I don't care if it's take a 2-second bath, all right? Something nice for yourself.